Hello everybody and welcome back once again to TJ's Lego Room, and today we are looking at a pretty big mock. This is the Final Order TIE Wrath, a heavy bomber for the Final Order fleet that I've created in my own headcanon. That also includes the TIE Javelin starfighter as well that I showed you guys a few weeks ago. Hope you guys have that kind of roaming around in the back of your mind. I hope this one lives up to the expectations for what a bomber in that kind of a fleet would look like. Let's jump into it. Now, as we get into this, I did want to let you guys know that the instructions for this mock are available on rebrickable.com. You can go ahead and search for the Wrath bomber, or I'll have the link down in the description. So, the TIE Wrath, as you see here, is a Final Order ship. The Final Order, of course, being taken from both the First Order and the Sith fleet that we see in Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker. And this ship would have been a pretty expensive one for the Final Order to make because it has the capability and capacity to fire 150 proton torpedoes in a matter of seconds. This was the capital ship destroyer. Now, this bomber would also be escorted by several TIE fighters as well to act as defense, but it does have very heavy deflector shields, very long-range targeting sensors, so that it did not have to get super close to a capital ship to be able to take it out. But the idea is that it would just literally be able to punch through the shields, punch through the ship, and destroy it from virtually any angle of attack. One of my favorite parts, and one of the more unique parts of the ship that sets it apart from the other TIE fighters in the line, is the fact that instead of a triangle or a hexagon or any of the other shapes that have been used, this actually uses a diamond shape for the wing. I really did want to keep that aesthetic of those sharp lines and sharp points that it came to, using those pieces that are from the TIE dagger set that Lego actually officially came out with. I also liked the idea of creating those red points in the middle to split the diamond in half and kind of reiterate the fact that this is from the same universe and from the same line as the TIE Javelin or TIE Dagger. And then the raised section in the middle, the little section there, would be the deflector shield projectors. At this level, you can actually see that the weapons, the pods, the proton torpedo launchers, are actually holding the wings off of the ground. That was something that I actually designed from the beginning. Is I knew that if it had to land, it would need to land on those pods because those wings would not be able to hold up the weight, and I am 100% correct. Now, as you can see, that angle is pretty interesting. If anybody's familiar with Lego, that is not an angle that Lego can naturally do. I had to do a couple of funny little builds to be able to get it to that angle, but I thought it worked really well, and I had to have it. It just looked too good at this angle. Here's some close-ups of those weapons pods. So on each of the weapons pods, it's going to have 4 proton torpedo launcher sections, so it can launch 4 at a time from each pod, so 8 at a time. And then as it cycles through the other proton torpedoes, it fires the 4, fires the next 4, fires the next 4, fires the next 4, and so on and so forth until it can dump its entire payload in less than a minute. In addition to the missile armament, you can see on the front I have a couple of small cannons on either side of the cockpit windscreen piece, and those were designed to be ion cannons, kind of a way to soften up the target enemy ship so that those proton torpedoes would be able to punch through and destroy the ship completely. Up here you can see some little greebles that I added onto here. I imagine that they'd be used for either refueling or parts of the hyperdrive that would be exposed to space or navigation stuff. Just some fun little greebles that I quite enjoy. So this particular craft was not just a regular TIE fighter, the twin ion engine, but it's actually a double twin ion engine. If you lose any of those engines, the other ones can kind of compensate for it. I wanted to have a little bit of redundant systems, but it also has to transport a lot of proton torpedoes, so I figured it'd be a pretty heavy vehicle. Got to have those engines. On closer inspection, you can see that we've got 2 little cannons right there in front of the red windscreen for the bombardier, and those would be just in case anybody sneaks up behind you or if somebody's able to come around and try to flank it from behind. The bombardier would be able to identify that threat and be able to just launch some warning shots, basically. They're not super accurate, but it would make somebody second guess trying to come up behind it, just trying to warn them off and make sure that they stay away and possibly buy some time for the TIE fighter escort to come back and take them out. You can also see I've got a lot of those 1x2 grills on the back. I really love those pieces. I think they look really good as engine parts or exhausts. In this case, I imagine that they were definitely some sort of an engine exhaust to kind of help cool down or to eliminate some of the extra material from the double twin ion engine configuration here. So here I can tell you a little bit of another detail that I included. You can see that on the wings I've got a gray stripe that kind of goes all the way to the point of each of the wings and then kind of goes back, and there's that gray stripe that kind of changes widths a little bit when it connects to the actual ship. I included that because the TIE dagger set came with that, and I still included that light bluish gray line on the TIE Javelin just to try to tie it together and give it a semblance of being in the same universe and possibly designed by the exact same people in the exact same factory, and they kept some of the aesthetics from one ship to another. So this idea I actually stole from the Kylo Ren's TIE fighter from The Last Jedi. You can see this little smooth section on the back. It's actually perfectly capable of, having people stick their thumb in there, and it creates a really good carrying point for the vehicle. As you can see, it's extremely durable. It allowed me to really make it into a fun craft to be able to fly around, and my kids have already been playing with it for a while. My son Ben is actually the one who suggested it. When I was building the back of it, I kept saying something like, I really need some way to be able to grab it and hold on to it, and he suggested, why not do it like the Kylo Ren TIE fighter? And I said, oh, that could work. You can see me playing around with it here. It's actually very sturdy, very solid. Obviously, if you whack those wings on the ground, they'll fall off. You can just snap them right back on. It's not too big of a deal. Of course, TJ's Lego Room Mock has to have some sort of modular capability, something fun, right? So on the left, we have our missile pod system that, in our own heads holds upwards of 70, 80 proton torpedoes. But on the right, what we have is a mass driver cannon. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to switch those things out. It's actually quite easy to do. It's kind of fun. So the missile pods just snap right off. They're held on only by about, I don't know how many studs, but probably only about 8 or so. And then the the mass driver cannons have Technic pins and axle pieces that stick right in to the bottom of the ship, and I designed it from the beginning with these holes so that I could stick things into it, because I was pretty sure I'd have some sort of an interchangeable attachment depending on the mission that is needed for the TIE Wrath. And of course, you didn't think that was the only special part, right? I haven't even showed you the inside of the cockpit. But as you can see, the top of the cockpit does not have a normal hinge piece like most of the other TIE fighters. This piece is very similar to the TIE Javelin. What's going on here? Well, of course, everything in the final order has to have a cool cockpit opening. So there's a little piece I can push on the back to pop it open and slide out the entire cockpit section for the guys to get in and out. The cockpit for the pilot here is very similarly designed to the TIE Javelin. I have those special 1x1 rounds with a bar on them sticking down into some hollow plates so that I can kind of angle them around with those 1x1 trans-red pieces. The gunner here, as you can see, has 3 different consoles. The top console is for targeting the anti-pursuit cannons, and then each of those 2 lower ones I imagined were to control each of the different pods or mass driver cannons, whatever attachments you have connected to this thing. Those would control each side of it. They can target a single ship or a single encampment or whatever, or it can target multiples depending on whatever attachments you have on there, but you can actually have them target separately or together. So here I'll just go ahead and close it up. The mechanism works extremely well. It's a little tight, but that was kind of the point, is that it would be able to hold itself while you're playing with it, but still be able to slide in and out with relative ease. So that is the TIE Wrath Heavy Bomber. I'm super excited for how this is done. Once again, you can find this on rebrickable.com. I have the instructions up and ready to go. I'm really glad with how this turned out. I was trying to figure out a way to build a bomber in the new Final Order fleet that I've been kind of headcanoning myself. And the diamond-shaped wings, I really fell in love with very early on. There were a couple other iterations of wing shapes, but I really fell in love with the diamond, kind of having the double triangles against each other, imagining that it was that much bigger. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and show you some comparisons. So here is the TIE Javelin and the TIE Wrath. We got the regular First Order bomber. We've got a tank. I'll flash through some other ones real quick. But as you can see, the size is actually pretty considerable. It's a fairly large mock. I'm not sure the exact dimensions, but as you can see, compared to some of the other ones, it's definitely a lot bulkier, a little bit more of a girth. It's definitely bigger than Vader's TIE, that's for sure. But all in all, it's actually a really fun ship. You could even get to play with it. It's comparable in size to the Bat, so hey, pretty awesome to me. All right, you guys, thank you so much for checking out TJ's Lego Room. I'm really excited to bring more and more of these things to you. I have more instructions in the works and on the way. I have more mocks that are coming out that I'll be able to show you guys in the coming weeks. I'm super excited. Probably shouldn't just tell you guys what they are yet, I guess, because I'm still working on a few of them. But let's just say there's a tank, there's a starfighter, there's a jacuzzi. So, hey, stick around. You might see something you like. And we'll catch you guys next time in TJ's Lego Room. Bye.